Hi everyone, it's Jennifer from Fiberflux. In this video, I will show you how to whip stitch two pieces of your knit or crochet together. For this project, you'll need the pieces that you're going to be seaming together. You'll need a pair of scissors, your tapestry needle, and some yarn. I recommend using the same weight yarn that you used for your project. This is some worsted weight yarn that I have here to go along with what I will be seaming. Now, these granny squares that I have here were finished with a round of white. So if you want it to blend, obviously you would use some white yarn. I'm going to be using this bright pink just to show you what I'm doing. So this is a great way and a very fast way to join two pieces together. You can join your pieces in lots of different ways. You can crochet them together using slip stitch or single crochet. There's a lot of decorative ways to seam, but this is a very easy, simple, and basic way to join your pieces together. So all you're going to need to do is take a length of yarn. I have about 24 inches or so. It's probably a lot more than we'll need. We can always trim it later. So just thread your tapestry needle with a tail, just like that. And then I wanted to talk just for a second about these two tapestry needles that I have here. This is a metal one and this is a plastic one. It's really a matter of preference and really what you have on hand. The plastic has a little bit of give to it. The metal does not at all. So if you like your needle to flex a little bit, I would go with the plastic. If you like a stiffer tapestry needle, I would go with the metal. I prefer the metal, but it's totally up to you. So what you're going to do is you're going to, now these pieces happen to have the same number of stitches on each side. You don't really need to have the same number of stitches. You can kind of work it so that they will still match up. But what you're going to do is take the right side of your work and have the side face you. Then take the right side of the other piece, so they're back to back. So the wrong sides are going to face inward on both sides. So when we look at this side, the right side will be showing, and when we flip it over, the right side will be showing. Okay? So we're just going to stack these up so the edges are up against each other and try to line them up the best you can. Again, you can kind of work it if they're not exact. You can kind of just line it up and just eyeball it a little bit. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take our tapestry needle that we've threaded with our yarn and just line these up. Now you can seam these together for a blanket or other projects. And again, there's lots of ways to seam. This is a super easy, basic way. Okay, so what you're going to do, if you notice that our both pieces have two loops for each stitch all the way across. So you're going to go in both loops of the first layer of your sandwich, in both loops of the second layer of your sandwich. So we actually have 1, 2, 3, 4 loops on our tapestry needle right now. So go ahead and pull. You're not going to pull it all the way through, just leave a little tail here. We're going to tie this when we're finished and weave in the ends. So then, once you've inserted it into the first set of stitches, you're going to go into the second stitches, again in both loops, and then both loops on the other side of our sandwich. You can see all 4 loops are showing, and then pull. Okay, you can go in either direction. You can come from the top and go in, but just do it the same way each time. So if you begin like this, do that for each stitch. If you come from the bottom, do that for each stitch. Just try to be consistent. You can do it in either direction, but just stick with one direction for the remainder of the project. Okay, so go in the first layer, come in the second layer, and get this little tail out of the way, and just pull. You don't want to make it too tight because it'll start to bunch and gather a little bit, but you want it to be snug, nice and firm, neat stitches. Just like that. You can start to see we're getting some stitches here. Okay, so you're just going to go in both layers. Get that tail out of the way. The tail always wants to jump in. Then just keep doing this all the way across in these 2 layers, and you can stop halfway through if you want to and look at your handiwork. And again, this is a really quick way to join pieces together. And I really like it too because it gives me a lot of control over the seaming of my projects. Now you will have to weave some ends in, but you will usually have to do that with other seaming techniques as well too. Okay, so we're just doing this all the way across. I'm going to go ahead and continue across, and then we're going to rejoin at the end to look at what we've done. Okay, so I went ahead and worked the whip stitch all the way across. And because we worked in the bright pink yarn, you can really see what's going on here. Basically, a whip stitch is just a spiral that you're working through your project. Okay, so again, I wanted to mention that if you want this to blend more, it's not an invisible seam, as you can see, but if you do want it to blend more, then definitely go for the white yarn. So let's open this up. Now, we could continue whip stitching this all the way around if we wanted to close this square all at once, but if we're joining for a blanket or something like that, we would want to open it up at this point and then go ahead and add more squares. But what we can see here is that it lays nice and flat, and if you flip it over, it looks virtually the same on both sides. So when you're ready to finish seaming, you can just take this tail and tie it into a nice neat knot. I'm going to be using these squares for another project, so I'm going to pull this apart when we're finished. But you can just tie a nice neat knot and weave the ends in when you're finished. So that is how you seam the whip stitch and seam your pieces together. And again, you can use this for knitting or crochet projects. It's a very easy and fast way to seam. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click the subscribe button to get all the latest Fiberflux video updates. Thanks again!